Now they will have the opportunity to film the planes internally. At the moment it will only be external. Once the pilot arrives, the plane will be verified with COPEG personnel who will also participate during the flight. At the moment, what we are going to do is an external verification on the aircraft site. We are already going to celebrate 25 years in the month of October of carrying out this release of sterile insects in the Republic of Panama. This North American company has been with us during all this time. The current pilots are Panamanian, technical maintenance personnel are Panamanian. These planes, as you see them, have the capacity to fly for 5 hours. They are twin-engine planes and the current load capacity is established at more or less 475 litres of flyers each.
Mi nombre es Ramsés Rivera Ledesma, soy el gerente de operaciones de dispersión en COPEG.
My name is Ramsés Rivera Ledesma. I'm the manager of dispersal operations at COPEG, and we are a part of the technical management. This dispersal center began due to actions in the month of October 1998. The first process of sterile pupae took place in this operation. Right now, they are doing the verification. Normally, whenever the plane is going to be used, there is a prior verification by the personnel of the contractor company and our personnel, who are about to enter right now at 6 in the morning. It is equipment specially designed for this activity. This is a dispersion machine that has an air conditioning compressor. What this compressor allows is to keep the insect dormant. Now when we load the flight, you'll be able to see how the operation really works. We take the opportunity since we have the plane without anything, so that you can see what it consists of. This dispersion machine, what it has here are some screws that start to turn. The insects will fall on these devices, and when the plane is in the air releasing the insect, these screws will activate and begin to release the fly. This is extremely important since the plane, as it leaves here from the Tocumen Airport, actually begins the dispersal of the insect from Lake Bayano. We have established in the aircraft's navigation system that once it comes into contact with this polygon, this is automatically activated. We're going to have our personnel monitoring what is happening with the dispersion machine, because we need to know that the revolutions, times and temperature are within the parameters that we have defined to comply with the dispersal dose. In the case of Panama, 3,000 flies per linear nautical mile, and in the case of Colombia, 6,000 flies per linear nautical route. We went to Colombia, where this plane enters, and for a total of approximately 1,000 linear nautical miles per week. This represents between 6 or 7 hours of flight per week, and in the amount of insects that we are releasing within the Colombian side, it is around 6.5 to 7 million flies, more or less.
De 6.5, 7 millones de moscas, más o menos.
In Colombia, someone will notice at the bottom, and they will be able to see these logos to identify what the screwworm program is. As part of the cattle screwworm eradication strategy, the United States and Panama have the COPEG Dispersal Center, located at the Tocumen International Airport.
En el Aeropuerto Internacional de Tocumen, para que este lugar pueda funcionar.
For this place to function, it depends on the fly production plant cattle screwworm insects, located in Pacora, Panama, inaugurated in 2006.
2006, esta instalación industrial.
This industrial facility was designed to produce up to 1 million sterile insects per week,
Lo cual permite que el programa,
which allows the program to maintain enough flies to disperse.
un trabajo de erradicación y control regional,
A regional control and eradication work managed by a joint commission operated by the United States Department of Agriculture and the Ministry of Agricultural Development of the Republic of Panama control the complete life cycle of the insect,
que pasa por 4 estadios,
which goes through 4 phases: eggs, larvae, pupae, and adult fly. The sterile pupae from the production plant are stored in emergency rooms
de emergencia, donde se lleva a cabo
where metamorphosis takes place, the final process through which the larva transforms into an adult fly and will be ready to be dispersed by air over the production area. The biological barrier established in the Republic of Panama
de Panamá y los países.
and the neighboring countries that benefit from the program.
Bueno, el centro de dispersión actualmente
The dispersal center currently processes 15.7 million pupae per week, which allows us to obtain approximately 14.7 million flies, which, with this amount, we can cover the permanent prevention barrier. The human resources that we use in this operation are 38 people: administrative technicians, quality control, assistants, maintenance,
mantenimiento, personal de dispersión.
dispersal personnel that accompany the supply and the dispersal of the insect. We need sterile pupae in this case to process pupae and obtain the necessary insects in order to be.
Para poder ser dispersados. Definitivamente parte de esa función
Definitely part of this function requires a lot of equipment, a lot of technology necessary to process these insects and, above all, the human resource with the capacity to attend to this operation. Quality control is in charge of monitoring by taking samples.
Aquí es donde realmente se...
This is where the process really begins with the arrival of the sterile pupa from the plant.
Hoy son 8 hieleras, ingeniero, ¿verdad? Sí, 8 hieleras.
Today with 8 coolers, the exact same boxes come as the ones we have here.
Están identificadas.
They are identified with their numbering and with the cooling time that has been mentioned permanently.
Cada una de estas neveras
Each of these refrigerators contains 44 litres, equivalent to about 395,000 pupae. The average number of pupae per litre is 8,000. There is usually a small variation, but it is information that is verified and monitored by quality control personnel.
personal de control de calidad. El manifiesto de carga
The cargo manifest must be verified and approved by the shift manager and the quality analyst to validate that the number of pupae required for the shipment was received.
Entonces los técnicos proceden a descargar
The technicians proceed to unload the product, waiting for quality control, and the shift manager has already finished verifying all the information contained in the shipment that is being delivered to us. And once they have defined the information that meets all the requirements, the analyst is going to proceed to verify mainly the temperature. We need to monitor what temperature the pupa is reaching, and according to the procedures, it must be kept between 15 and 25 degrees Celsius.
se hace una verificación.
A verification is made at the quality level of the pupa and of the insect already collected. Based on these measurements, it can be determined that the quality parameters required for the dispersion are being met.
La dispersión.
Muy buenas, mi nombre es Orlando Díaz.
My name is Orlando Diaz. I'm the head of technical operations for the diagnostic unit and the dispersal center. Right now, we are here in the dispersal quality control department.
Tenemos bajo
We have 4 biologists in this department. They are the 4 people who are in charge of checking the quality of the insect during pupation and in flies. Once the pupae arrive
una vez que la pupa llega de la planta, nos llega al centro de dispersión.
from the plant, it arrives at a dispersal center. The quality control personnel take samples to come, do and perform certain tests on the pupa. We have tests which Miss Maylin is doing, which is the sieve test.
Que es la prueba de cribas. Esas son unas pruebas donde colocan en cada cuadrito una pupa.
These are some tests where they place a pupae in each square, and it is to determine the emergence of the pupae. These sieves are placed in the emergency room and taken to the tower to be able to determine what emergency that tower has tomorrow.
Tiene al día de mañana. Para poder decir, este es el porcentaje.
To be able to say this is the percentage to pass those towers and collect the fly.
También tenemos que realizar pruebas de pupa.
We also have to perform a pupa test, pupa weight. We do non-viability, which corresponds to placing 100 pupae
A colocar en un tape 100 pupa.
in a tape and opening them to see if the insect is inside the pupa and is viable or non-viable.
El pupa por litro para determinar
The pupa per litre to determine how many pupae there are in each litre and to be able to count the millions of flies that have been sent to us from the plant. The tests that we do at the fly level, which are sexual aggressiveness, genetic development, longevity, very crucial tests because sexual aggressiveness
porque la agresividad sexual
are very crucial tests because sexual aggressiveness is what determines if the insect that goes to the field does its job, which is copulating with field flies, and from there it is known that there are no offspring. That is the function, a very crucial and important test here in the department.
Está definido el inicio de la operación.
Once the start of the operation is defined, The Quality Control Department has to verify that 450 milliliters are indeed being notified,
La analista, el vaso que tiene ya.
and that is what the analyst is doing at the moment. The glass she has is already set to 450. She will certify that the dispenser is calibrated to that volume. That can be adjusted up to 1000 milliliters, but for our purposes the current approval that does not interrupt the quality of the insect is 450 milliliters.
Una vez el analista verifica,
Once the analyst verifies, she authorizes the process to start.
cada criba recibe un trozo de gel que es la.
Each sieve receives a piece of gel that is going to provide the insect with food while it emerges inside the sieve. This gel is based on carrageenan in water and sugar carrageenan in addition. At the moment we can see the insect production technician
Transportando la torre que ha sido empacada.
transporting the tower that has been packed. Approximately 25 litres of pupae have been dispatched inside this tower.
A verificar la cantidad de criba.
We proceed to verify the amount of sieve that has been placed, which on average is 50. The technician identifies the tower to give it the corresponding traceability through the Quality Control Department.
La misma será llevada.
It will be taken to the emergency room.
Una vez la torre ha sido
Once the tower has been placed in the emergency room,
verificar que el abanico esté en funcionamiento.
we verify that the fan is working. This device, which can be seen moving, guarantees that the air exchange is taking place inside the tower. This condition is extremely important because if this fan is not working due to the emergency process, the insect tends to suffocate. This will happen throughout the emergency operation until tomorrow, approximately 8 p.m.
Ok, como podemos ver, tenemos la página de monitoreo de la...
As we can see, we have the monitoring page of the incubator chamber, so to speak, where the biological enters as a pupa, emerges and does the birth process of the fly for collection.
La mosca para la colecta. Primero se insertan las...
First, the towers are inserted in the two hot chambers, both hot chambers, where the tower will go to emerge at a temperature of 28 to 32 degrees.
Ahí emerge la mosca, pues nosotros...
There the fly emerges. We monitor the temperature and humidity of both hot chambers. These are the ones at the ends where the towers will enter with the pupa.
Y luego pasan a una cámara fría.
Then they go to a cold chamber that we put in simulation. It would already be tomorrow in the late to collect the fly that has already been born,
Ahí entonces se inicia el proceso pues de...
emerged. The process of lowering the temperature from 3 to 5 degrees begins so that the fly falls asleep and to be able to carry out the collection process.
Entonces esa es la parte de...
That is the part that we monitor of the system.
Persona, pues estamos al tanto de...
The technicians, we are aware of the functioning of the operation and the equipment there itself. The group of technicians that is at the moment has been in this activity since last night. The shift supervisor, Mr. Marino Cedeno, is proceeding to remove a fan that what he does is inject cold air into the tower to numb the insect. Once you have this information, you can see that the insect is completely dormant. It is totally asleep, and what we are going to do then is to look at the empty room to determine how many litres of fly this tower is producing.
Temperatura.
The temperature, as I mentioned, 3 degrees Celsius. In addition, the humidity condition is extremely important, taking into account that it is a parameter that can affect the agility of the insect. Therefore, it must be controlled.
Debe estar controlado. Tenemos un sistema.
We have a responsible monitoring system in the maintenance unit that is pending that these conditions are being developed or are being obtained throughout the process.
Pues estén obteniendo durante todo el proceso. Esta mosca que está siendo colectada.
This fly that is being collected will be used for the release of the 2 shipments that we have scheduled for today, CM1, CM5.
Así que necesitamos
So we need to determine how many litres of flies were in total
para proceder entonces con la verificación.
to proceed with the verification of the dose of flies that will be dispersed.
En un momento el Departamento de Control de Calidad va a estar
In a moment, the Quality Control Department will be taking samples to determine a series of tests established in the procedures, which allow us to know the quality of the insect that we are currently processing.
ahí, como pudieron observar, son 5 litros de mosca.
As you could see, there are 5 litres of flies. In that jug, there are approximately 40,000 flies on average for each 5-litre jug.
Cada jarra de 5 litros. El turno de producción A3.
The A3 production shift with 64.17 hours. These 64.17 hours is the cooling time that this pupa was in the cold room at the plant, in order to complete the millions of pupae necessary for us to obtain this insect. This information is extremely important because it allows us to trace the behavior of this insect. We know how agile this insect is. Once we finish this process, quality control is going to take samples of everything you see here in order to evaluate the quality of the product that we are dispersing. They have already identified in the boxes the shifts that I mentioned a moment ago, because that way they will verify how the agility and morality of the insect was. The sample number to determine flight agility is 90 milliliters. They take a sample of 90, freeze it, and determine how many insects there are in the 90 milliliters, and by rule of 3, they obtain the percentage of flight agility.
Del control de calidad.
We are in the quality control test room. This test room has a temperature of 28 to 32 degrees with a humidity of 40 to 60%. This temperature is simulating what is happening right now in the cameras, in the units that have the pupae. Here we test longevity with food and longevity without food. To determine the days of life of the adult insect with respect to the gene development is where we can determine the stage to which the ovary has reached.
Pupas que vienen de la planta.
From pupae, that it comes from the plant and does not go through our process, it comes directly. A test is set up with 500 pupae. We open that box within 2 days to see its emergence. That is to determine and compare the flight agility of a pupa that has not gone through our process. It simply comes directly from the plant to here. For each shipment that comes from the plant, longevity, aggressiveness, and genetic development are witnessed. In total, 30 towers of 50 sieves are harvested, and the average number of flies is 25 litres from each one. They are dismantled one by one, and the dormant flies fall into the collector, with which the releases of that day will be made. But before this, they need to determine how many litres of flies were collected in total, to proceed with verification of the doses that will be released. On average or in total, we can load up to 470 litres of fly in these containers. The same cold conditions that we are having here. The fly will be inside this box while the dispersal is being done. We need the insect to be asleep. When the insect wakes up, when it leaves the plane, once it is released from the belly of the plane and comes into contact with the air, the insect will wake up. It will fly and it will go to do its job. In this case, it is that of crossing, and you can avoid offspring with the lost flies. At the end of the filling process, the containers are marked with the flight pattern to be carried out, the litres that represent 100% of the dose to be dispersed, and the volume that actually carries 6% more in this case. In this case, we work 24/7. The technical staff works 12 hours from 7:30 in the morning to 7:30 at night, and the night group enters at 7:30 at night to 7:30 in the morning to carry out the process of collecting the sterile insect. In the day shift, basically what is done is to process the sterile pupae produced by the plant and all the activity that the operation entails. In this case, cleaning of equipment, maintenance, and everything that entails a work day within our facility. On average, we have between 20 to 25 people in each work shift daily. I've been here at the Dispersal Center for approximately 15 years. I started as a biotechnician, then I became a supervisor, and I am the head of technical operations. Truly a company where I have grown. I feel very proud to be here, and I continue to give, both to the organization and to the country.
Tanto la organización como al país.
We reached the last stage. The insect is already packed in the containers. The team that is lowering the boxes are the dispersers, Jaime and Victor.
Son parte del equipo.
They are part of the team of personnel that accompanies the pilots during the dispersal of the insect. They proceed to raise the containers with the fly supported inside the plane, and the pilot prior to this operation has to notify the Tocumen Tower,
Un plan de vuelo.
a flight plan that specifies the route to be taken, how many hours the flight will take the crew, and in this case, the pilot and the COPEG staff that will accompany him during the flight.
Tenemos un software
We have software called Honeywell, which allows us to monitor the activity being carried out in this case by the plane identified as N64 Charlie.
Charlie. Si se dan cuenta cuando
If you notice when I put the cursor over the plane, it tells me that the plane is the N64 Charlie, which is its registration number. The altitude at which it is flying at the moment is 3,133 feet. Normally dispersion is done at 8,500 feet, with an average speed of 165 linear nautical miles per hour. It is extremely important to mention that all this happens live, once the pilot finishes the dispersion and sends us information via mail that we can analyze and corroborate that indeed, the flight that we are planning was the one that was carried out.
fue el que se realizó. Nosotros tenemos identificado que para la
We have identified that for the Republic of Panama, or Green Polygon, we are releasing 3,000 flies for every linear nautical mile that the plane travels. Once it crosses into Colombia, if you notice, the polygon has another color. The release automatically increases to 6,000 flies per linear nautical mile, which is the eradication dose for the cattle screwworm infestation.
de navegación del avión
In the plane's navigation system, there is software or a file that is defined
está definido
so that when the plane passes here, when it comes into contact with that polygon, it automatically increases the revolution of the machine, bringing the dispersion to 6,000 flies per nautical mile.
por vía náutica lineal. Igual pasa dentro.
The same happens inside the yellow polygon. When the plane is inside the yellow polygon, the speed is reduced to make the release at 3,000. Currently, the barrier is comprised from Lake Bayano, the entire province of Darien, part of the province of Panama, and 20 nautical miles within Colombian territory.
Colombiano. Para esta actividad
For this activity, we have defined 6 flights identified as CM, which in aeronautical nomenclature is Charlie Metro 1, 2, 3, the 4 in the center, 5 black lines, 6 red lines.
4 en el centro, 5 línea negra, 6 línea roja.
En las zonas donde se ha detectado
In areas where positive cases of cattle screwworm have been detected, the plane disperses at a lower height than usual, so that the release of the flies is more effective. Once the dispersal week is over,
Una vez finalizada la semana de dispersión,
the distance between one line and another should be approximately 2 linear nautical miles, equivalent to 4.5 kilometers.
a 4.5 kilómetros.
Actualmente
Currently, we as a program, our mission is defined up to the maintenance of what is the permanent prevention barrier.
prevención permanente. Definitivamente
Definitely, we as expert technicians in cattle screwworm, we hope that at some point South America will have the opportunity to start a program that is demonstrating its technical capacity.
técnica. Yo tengo 23 años.
I have 23 years of service in this program. I started very young, and thanks to this program, I've had the opportunity to develop myself, first to learn and above all at a technical level, having the opportunity today to direct one of the central processes. It is definitely perhaps the greatest satisfaction I have as a technician and as a Panamanian.